What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, we're talking about the FPL Watchlist ahead of Game Week 28. So, going to go through 3 players that I'm looking at bringing in either this week or in the coming weeks as well, who have been performing well, have got back into the side, are back from injury, and or have good fixtures as well. So, if you do enjoy this type of video, please do give it a like. Hit subscribe if you're new around here. Let's jump into the first player. So, first up, we're looking at Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Right, you can't really ignore him. He's just scored 4 goals in the last 4 matches, and to be fair, he only played 7 minutes in Game Week 26 as well. So really, it's 3 full matches, 4 goals. Now, they were 3 goals versus Leeds, to be fair. A blank versus Man City. Who doesn't blank against Man City, right? Well, Bruno Fernandes doesn't blank against them. But apart from that, most players do. And then 1 goal versus Burnley. And he should have had a penalty, right? How Arsenal didn't get a penalty in that game, I will not know. And I think Aubameyang was on the pitch at the time as well. So he would have taken that penalty too. And one of the key things is, with a lot of players right now, and we're going to, we get always sucked into this talking about blanks and doubles, but it is important to our teams and to the FPL calendar. There is a blank game week in 29. He is in a team that are going to play. So that's obviously important too. It is difficult to review his recent stats, right? I had a look, but the problem is, he's not been starting in every single match. He's been like kind of having a few minutes off the bench, then a start, a few minutes off the bench, start, a few minutes on the bench, etc. And obviously, one, from a stats perspective, is not necessarily great to compare that to players that have been playing every game, but that's also a bit of a red flag, right? If he's not starting every single game, should he really be in consideration for our teams? I've had a look at Arsenal's fixtures. So you got Europa League against Olympiacos, then it's Spurs, which is obviously a big game anyway, right? If that's one of their top 4 rivals. Plus, it's a derby too, so that's a huge game. Then it's Olympiacos again in the Europa League. Then it's West Ham, which is not easy. Then it's Liverpool. So the fixture schedule for Arsenal is difficult, and you just don't know if he's going to play every single game. Arteta is not afraid to make those changes, right? We've seen it already. Lacazette has been playing well. Like, even when, Aubameyang can play from the left, but also through the middle, but so can Lacazette, and he's done pretty well this year. And let's be realistic now. There's still plenty of games to go, but Arsenal's best chance at Champions League next year is probably to win the Europa League, right? I think getting top 4 is not impossible by any stretch for them, especially if they get a few good games together or get a few points for the next few games. But the problem is, there's so many teams fighting for that top 4 spot. They're already ahead of them, like Man United, Spurs, Chelsea, West Ham, Everton. Like, there's a huge list. Leicester as well. How many of those are going to drop enough points to make sure that Arsenal can get in there? So Europa League potentially becomes the priority, in which case we have to start looking carefully at the team sheets for them. So with Spurs up next, I would expect Arteta to play a pretty full-strength side, but let's see how he lines up in the Europa League against Olympiacos before we decide about whether to get him in. I got to be honest, right? I've put orange for the next 3 fixtures for Arsenal, because I don't think Spurs will give up too many chances. I don't think West Ham will, and Liverpool are obviously a good side. But to be honest, look, I don't think we've got to the point yet where you put Liverpool as a green fixture, because I think a bit like how Pep Guardiola and Man City are brilliant, but for whatever reason, when he plays Ole Gunnar Solskjaer against Manchester United, it just doesn't go well. I feel like the way Arteta will approach that Liverpool game will be with a little bit of caution. It doesn't matter how bad Liverpool are playing. I don't see them going to just attack it, but arguably, right, and this is the problem with colour coding games in general, because sometimes you want a different colour code for attack versus defence. From an attacking point of view, it's probably not the worst game to play right now. If you go and look at Liverpool's recent stats, like last 6 game weeks, their expected goals conceded are right up there. I think when I checked it before this deadline for the last 6 games, they were only beaten in terms of being bad by Sheffield United, right? They've conceded a lot of chances. Going forward, still not that bad, really, in terms of the underlying numbers. I know it's not really converting to performances, and we'll talk about that in a bit, but that's probably not as bad a fixture as it looks. And Aubameyang's such a good player that you can expect him to get points in any kind of game anyway. At least it has the potential to do that. So for me, the biggest concern really is, will he start all these games? And that's probably the biggest red flag over him. His numbers look pretty good. Arsenal are looking better as well. I know they drew with Burnley, but they should have had more goals in that game, shouldn't they? I know you can say that over and over, but they really should have. They should have had the penalty for a start. So Spurs will be a good one. They play in 29, which is just a big win. Like, if these were the fixtures and every other team was playing in 29 too, I probably wouldn't be looking at him. But there isn't many fixtures in 29, and given the players I already own, there's not too many others that I would look to put in my team, and Aubameyang is one of them. So I am eyeing him up. It would mean swapping him out for Salah, but to be honest, from possibly game week 29 for the next few fixtures, it might not be the worst shout. Or even De Bruyne, to be honest, if I get sick of him, if he blanks against Southampton and Fulham. So there's definitely a place in my side for him because I've got enough money to just swap one midfielder. It's just I'm going to look at that Europa League team sheet and then decide from there. So I think the reaction to talking about Sergio Reguilon will be a little bit different now that they've just conceded to Crystal Palace than if I'd spoken about him before the Crystal Palace game, which I do get. But if I think about that game, right, I did watch it. The bullet header from Benteke was great, right? You just don't stop that. But outside of that, I don't think there was too many other clear-cut chances. I seem to remember Zaha having a bit of a chance that went just wide of the post, but apart from that, I don't really remember too much. So I thought Spurs defended quite well, and in general, I think Reguilon gives them something both in defence and attack. It's not that I think Ben Davies is a bad player at all, and I do think from a defensive point of view he's quite good, but in terms of these days, like obviously fullbacks are up and down, up and down, up and down. I'm not sure Ben Davies can do that regularly anymore. And Reguilon can. He does get forward. He joins the attack and he gives them an extra player, right, when they're trying to attack the opposition. So I think he is going to play more often than not. The red flag is, right, and I've spoken about this every time someone's asked me about him, is he first choice? Yes. Will he start the majority of matches? Yes. Will he start every game? No. Right? I just think Ben Davies will start at some point. Now, like I spoke about with Arsenal, Spurs also have Europa League, right, intertwined with other Premier League matches. So if he gets rested in that gives us a good indication that he's going to play the next game, okay? The problem for me is game week 29 really is the key game, right? Because yes, I want him for Newcastle. If he didn't play against Arsenal or Man United, then so be it, or I could get a different player off my bench or something like that. It wouldn't be the end of the world. But I want him to play for the Aston Villa game. So if he gets rested for the Europa League, then that might give us some indication about how Jose Mourinho sees that versus the Premier League, because they can still get fourth spot as well. But the problem is, if he misses this one, then he plays against Arsenal. Does that mean he definitely plays against Villa? Absolutely not. So that is my key worry. But if you look at the fixtures after the blank as well, we've got Arsenal, Villa, Newcastle, Man United at home, Everton away, a blank, and the blank game I'm probably going to free hit anyway, Sheffield United and Leeds. So the fixtures are quite good. Like, I'm looking at those thinking Newcastle's a good shout at clean sheet in game week 30. Sheffield United are potentially, Everton or Leeds, they could get one clean sheet out of them. I think the fixtures are pretty good, but I'm probably looking more at them from the fact that I know he can attack as well. Although, interestingly, over the last 4 games, he's only actually created 1 chance. He's had 5 shots and 2 shots in the box. Now, if you watch the games, I feel like if you just watch football, which is absolutely fine, that's what you should do, but I also like a few stats as well. If you just watch football, Reguilon seems like a very attacking fullback. When you look at the numbers, he's not actually creating a huge amount. There are better creative defenders out there, like Luca Dean, Luke Shaw, João Cancelo, for example. But on his day in a good fixture, he can absolutely get forward. He's got one hell of a left peg as well to cross the ball into the likes of Kane. And let's not forget, with Bale playing, they also have another very good player that can get up and get headers as well. So it just adds another dimension. Obviously, Reguilon doesn't care who puts it in the net. He just wants the assist. So I quite like the look of him. Obviously, the other kind of red flag concern, etc., is that once I get him, I've already got Kane and Son. I block that third Spurs player. I could obviously get rid of him to incorporate them, but I'd probably just make the decision to either go for Reguilon or for Bale, which I spoke about a bit last week. I don't know. I think the Crystal Palace game has probably swung my head or turned my head a little bit, because obviously Bale did so well and he looks so happy. He's getting into the box. He's having plenty of shots, which I spoke about on the captaincy video. Son's shots were down again. He's only had 3 over the last 4 game weeks, whereas Bale's had 7 and Kane's had 11. So Son is definitely shooting less. It's just, if Reguilon plays, I'm happy with his minutes. I don't really see him as this injury-prone player, although I know he's just come back from injury. Whereas Gareth Bale, I'm still wondering, when is he going to get injured? Not if. It feels like when. It's a horrible thing to say, but it just he's had that problem for a while now. And obviously they are managing his minutes, right? He started 3 in a row, but they keep taking him off between 60 and 70. You don't really get that with Reguilon, although arguably you might want that because he's a defender, get the clean sheet locked in, and then be done with it. So I am looking at Reguilon. I think in terms of, I've got Wan-Bissaka. Who would I rather have for the next few weeks? Possibly Reguilon, maybe. And I think game week 29 is definitely one of the reasons for that. But it's really a toss-up between him and Bale. And right now, Potentially Bale's just about winning, but again, like everything with this video, it's coming out before the Europa League and need to see the team sheets first. So I missed the boat on Diogo Jota last time around, and I really don't want to do that again because I found it hard to find a place for him in my team, thinking he can't keep this up, and he did. And we know he's a good player from the Wolves days. Yes, he was a bit streaky at times, but in this Liverpool side, he's likely to get many more chances. They're definitely a more attacking team, even if they don't look too good right now. But that doesn't... It's not really putting me off all that much, to be honest, Liverpool's form right now. Maybe it should be, but I guess in some ways Jota's easier to kind of have in the team because he's cheaper, right? Obviously, when we're talking between Jota and Salah, there's a big difference in price right now. But Jota, now he's started, now he's back from injury, he's definitely someone that I want to look at. Now, again, he's got a blank in 29, so potentially not the best time to be bringing him in, but the fixtures after kind of 30 are really good. And to be honest, Wolves away doesn't even really put me off. And given that I've already got 8 players from the blank teams for 29, I'm not even that put off not making like, who else would I bring in apart from another Spurs player, possibly Aubameyang? I still have transfers to use for other players, so Jota is not completely off the cards. Wolves have defended okay, but they've also just conceded 4 to City, so I don't really see them as this great defensive team that they once were. I know Liverpool are not exactly scoring loads of goals, but over the last 6 games, their expected goals is 8.21, which is down on what we're used to from Liverpool, although they are second for the overall for the whole season still. But they've only scored 4 goals, so they have probably underperformed a little bit. And I remember a few weeks ago, I think it was before Salah went and scored 2 goals versus West Ham, maybe that week or the week before, I can't remember. But I talked a lot about Liverpool, right, and how they scored loads of goals, but their XG was quite low, and their XG was quite high, and they didn't score loads of goals. And it was just a little bit of variance. And I wonder if we're seeing a little bit of that as well. My only worry is maybe this kind of goes a bit further than stats at this point. When you're on the up, it's easy for everyone to be happy. Everyone comes into work, training, happy, gets on the pitch, they win again, they're all happy. Right now, it can't be as happy a camp in that Liverpool squad as it has been over the last couple of years. And the more they do poorly, the more pundits are going to talk about them doing poorly. I don't think anyone's calling for Klopp's job, by the way, but they're going to talk about why it's happening. Every time they lose, Klopp's going to get questioned about it. The players are going to get questioned about it. They're going to get more frustrated. And that must seep in, right? Even subconsciously, that must seep in. And so that's what worries me right now. Even if their expected goals is fine, even if they haven't scored enough goals, that's probably going to come. But that does worry me. But Diogo Jota back now, is that going to spark some life into them? Surely we are going to see a front 4 deployed of Firmino, Mane, Jota and Salah, or even Jota in place of Firmino, right? Firmino just not scoring enough goals. I know in years gone past, we've talked about how good Firmino is. He does loads more for the team than score goals. But when Salah and Mane aren't firing, it looks a lot worse for your main striker. You can call him whatever you want, but he is their main forward in terms of through the middle, not scoring goals. You highlight that a bit more. So Jota could come in for him maybe instead, but he is going to play. I just don't see how he doesn't, given the goals he scored before and the lack of goals that Liverpool have right now. Looking after 29, right, so the fixtures are Arsenal, Villa, Leeds, Newcastle, Man United, Southampton, West Brom, Burnley, Palace. I haven't checked all the teams, but Liverpool's running is one of the best. And I just feel like I know this is so cliche, but I feel like they're too good to continue in this rut, and they will start scoring again. And I don't think they're going to go to essential status by any means. You could probably get away with no Liverpool players for the rest of the season. But they have fixtures that I would want to target. And Jota is a great price, right? I could do a switch of Gundogan to Jota, for example, or whatever it might be. It could even be Salah to Jota. If you look at the expected goals and expected assists per 90 over the season, Jota actually comes out slightly ahead of Salah. I know he's not had to play in all these games. He hasn't had to play in all the same matches where Henderson's been injured and stuff like that. So maybe his numbers will drop too. But he's been impressive, I think, for his price. So he's definitely on my radar. Whether I bring him in this week or after game week 29, I don't know. But he is firmly on the watch list, and I just don't see the good reason not to bring him in is because of how Liverpool are performing, but given his price and given the fixtures and the fact that I just don't think they continue to not score, essentially, like the Fulham result was crazy. Look, Fulham are a good team, I get that, they're playing well right now, but for Liverpool not to score any goals, I don't think anyone was really expecting that. So I think they'll turn it around. I think they have to, by the way. They have to get top 4 unless Klopp's going to suddenly start prioritising the Champions League. I think winning the Europa League to get into the Champions League is a little bit easier than winning the Champions League, especially with the form they're kind of showing right now. So let's see what happens. Let's see who starts in the Champions League. And then we'll go from there. But Jota is just not someone that I want to miss out on again. Let me know if you're considering. And also let me know if you're considering Salah and Jota, or just replacing Salah for Jota and just getting some more money instead. That's it for this one. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about the 3 players I've listed. Is there anyone that I've missed out? Obviously, bearing in mind, no one on the watch list is the player that I already have in my team. So Kane just scored loads of points. He's not on the watch list. I already own him, and I'm keeping him for this foreseeable, potentially even for the rest of the season. It's very nice to have a Harry Kane back into goal-scoring form, which I know he's been doing for the whole season, but the last couple, we haven't really talked about him a lot from an FPL point of view. This year is completely different, so I'm liking that we've got another big hitting option. So yeah, let me know down below who you're looking at. Give it a like if you've enjoyed it. Hit subscribe if you're new around here. And if you want to check out Patreon, link in the description below. There'll be a Q&A over there on Friday. I'll probably do that live as well, so that'll obviously be a bit of a smaller audience. If you want to come and check that out, sign up to the middle tier. And then there's obviously all the videos converted to podcast, early team reveals, and all that good stuff too. Everyone that signs up goes up on the Legends wall as well. So thank you very much to everybody that has already signed up, and a big shout out to Mark F, who has signed up since the last video as well. I'll leave that one there. I'll be back tomorrow with some kind of video. I think we're going to do game week preview on Wednesday, team selection Thursday, captaincy Friday, as well as a deadline stream on Friday as well. Tomorrow, I'm not sure yet. We'll figure it out. Let me know below if there's a certain video that you want to see, and I'll see if I can make that happen. Otherwise, I'll leave it there. Please give it a like, hit subscribe if you're new around here, and see you later.